click it manually. Whatever. Alright, so we'll be starting off with a nice, happy, violent, aggressive game from everyone's favorite player, Lee Sedol. Let's make certain I know which one was which. Alright, yeah. Black, you were Lee Sedol, and congratulations to the person who actually guessed this game. Way to go. However, since you did guess the game, I assume you know of the game, therefore you are no longer allowed to volunteer any moves. Good job. Let's see, you are 5p, you are 9p. Alright. So, like I said, nice, violent, short, aggressive game. Lee Sedol starts out in the upper right-hand corner with a 4/4 stone. Nothing unusual there. White also takes a corner for himself. Black decides that he wants to maybe enclose, maybe he wants to do a Chinese variation, who knows, completely up to white. And speaking of completely up to white, white approaches black immediately, which is something I can completely get behind. I get this move. How many times have we seen Chinese variations lately? I mean, you're probably sick to death with them. Let's just assume that we're never, ever, 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 never going to allow that ever again. So sure, approach it. I like it. I like the idea behind it. Black obviously goes into a territorial game. Nothing really to fight over right now. We could take the opposite corner. That's something that we are able to do here as black. But taking the corner is fine too. No problems with that. So white responds, and then white does something very, very unusual. To many of you, you will not see this as unusual. You will see this as Joseki, but it actually is unusual. He tries to finish the Joseki, yes. FC, good for pointing that out. What do you normally see instead? Yeah, usually we take the corner. The idea here being that we can treat these two stones lightly. If black does something like cut us to be, you know, aggressive, that's fine, we can just pull back. And then it's kind of up to him to decide what he's doing with this group. I mean, the stone isn't completely killed yet, so there's tons of Aji in the area. So even if he takes a framework for himself, there's that annoying thing lingering behind of all that Aji or that stone that could potentially, you know, come on out. And if he decides to answer that potential threat and say something, let's say bad, we just completely Atari and kill it off, no Aji remaining. Well, then we have Sente, so we can just like split up the right-hand side or something. So happy times, happy times. Instead, he's committing himself here, which allows black two different options. Well, Alright, more than two different options. But essentially, black could decide, and we have seen this a few times before, where black chooses to actually attack this shape immediately. Either on the side or above, as well as, of course, the opportunity to take the corner for himself, since white decided that he didn't want to do that. So this is already a really strange game to me, because I didn't think that pros still played this way. I didn't think they actually committed themselves to the corner, or to the approach rather, than take the open corner. Nope. Good guess, good guess. But Lee Sedol takes the open corner. It's like, you should have done this. I don't know why you didn't, but I'll take it for myself and be happy. We're good. So, alright, fine. Corner's ours now. Black has to decide, or white has to decide what to do. I guess we could keep leaning. We could finish Joseki, or we can approach the 3-4. I say the 3-4 rather than the corner, because usually approaching the corner is more valuable than approaching the 4-4 stone. So we're of the two, we're likely to approach the 3-4 whenever possible. So white approaches. Black backs off. He's not really getting complicated here, which is a little bit unusual for black. It's almost like he knows something going on here that we do not. Let's see if we can figure out what that is. White now has an option. He can complete a Joseki, but it's almost like he does this for a living. Very true, Nezumi. White can take the Joseki for himself, but then, you know, that stone's been left alone by its lonesome. So that might fall under attack. Instead, white makes himself stronger first. Pretty good idea. White might find black responding, so he's not completely surrounded. White might find black playing on the bottom. And that could be okay too. Both these options will give Sente to white, so kind of liking those ideas. But black decides to approach instead. You can watch it on my YouTube later, Extreme B. So, right away, I'm kind of a little bit uncomfortable for white here. Can anyone tell me why I might be feeling a little bit uncomfortable for white? I mean, just looking at the board and seeing what's going on. What rubs us? Yes, again, to FC. We don't really know where our territory is coming from. I mean, if we're looking at black, we can point out, okay, he's got a corner. I can see he's making points there. He's got the lower left-hand corner. So he's got some points and might be able to extend a little bit as well. He still has a 4-4 stone that can make territory. But for white, we're getting influence. Huh. That's interesting. We're getting influence and we only have one real corner here. So it looks like this is going to turn into an influential game. We have to be able to attack something. We need to get into a fight of some kind to really be able to develop here. So white says, fine, the fighting shall commence. I will attack your stone and I will not pull back. But black is kind of Lee Sedol, so he likes fighting. That's not an area that you can take the game into which he will suddenly be uncomfortable. So he's not going to just immediately defend himself, right? We could do that with that Joseki. We could jump out and then just play that settling Joseki and be like, whoo, we're fine now. Dodged a bullet there. No, he's going to like rise up and try to kill you. So you say, well, counter pincers. There we go. So now the game's going to get complicated. White has a lot that he has to juggle. On one hand, this stone kind of under attack. Another hand, pincer kind of under attack. We still don't know how we're developing, so this is our time to show how we're developing. So white backs off. Okay. Bit unusual choice, but now that's up to black to decide how he's going to follow up his attack. Black does it by surrounding the corner. Okay. Not really sure where white's going with this, but we can still live here. As I guess white tries to do. Nice aji there. We can either cross-cut, or we can back off and use the hole here to try and get something done. So it's possible. Cute. So what is white going to do now? Surely something with the left-hand stones. At least that would be my thought. Instead he approaches. Okay. Kind of understandable. We saw that he did back off high, so it's unlikely he's going to get, you know, bogged down into a fight where he might lose Sente and give black the ability to approach h17. So instead, white is going to approach black. Black has so much going on the board, all he wants is Sente to keep doing something else, allowing white to develop. Finally, we have an idea on where his territory is coming from. It's on the top of the board. He's trying to develop that. A few issues I have with that. One, it's kind of like we're getting into this whole all of our eggs into one basket thing, which I try to avoid, because we see that all of our territory as white right now is coming just from the top. So we know as black where we can reduce. We can focus on there to reduce. So that's one issue I have with this. As black, I see that he's developing territory, or that as black, we see that black's developing territory in the upper right, the lower left, and he's gotten tech too. So he's got territory, and he's got potential. This is one of the reasons why this is usually regarded as too slow, and why we take the corner instead. Right now, the whole committing ourselves to this sequence isn't really paying off. Black simply takes some profit for himself. White takes profit for himself as well. Now we have a little bit more territory coming to himself. And a little bit of a problem. There is an invasion here, a really, really easy invasion here. I mean, you're not going to block this stone from being able to either just flat out escape or connect up. So, a little bit of an issue. But we don't actually have to be jealous of that at this moment, because we still have territory as black. We could invade the new thing immediately, but the largest source of territory for white is on the top. So how are we going to deal with the top? We can be really, really calm and say 3-3 invasion. 3-3 invasions are always good. We know they're going to live. Well, no, that's not true. 3-3 invasions don't always live, but we know that here they can. We've also got a G17 invasion, or J17 invasion, sorry. Or we can potentially maybe kick here and lightly reduce the top with one of those newfangled high shoulder hits that we learned in the last lecture. This would give us extra influence. Maybe to develop the middle for ourselves. One play ghost has none of these, which is actually quite correct. But you're close. You're actually close. Black invades here instead. Still pretty good. Still really, really good. We can go under here. We can go under here. We can escape. And this is where we start crying. Because this is our main source of territory, and we're watching it be invaded. So the question instantly becomes, can we please, dear God, kill this? Is it possible? Can we kill this invasion off? Because if we can, we may actually have territory this game. What do you think? We can't kill it? You sure? What if I say pretty please? Can we kill it then? Still no? Okay, that's a problem. Alright, so if we can't kill this, then I guess two things are happening. It's either living locally or it's running away. So the question is, what's better for us here? Should we have it run away, or should we surround it and have it live locally? Merrick says, have it run away. Yannick says, give it life locally. I guess we want the influence. Nizumi says, surround it. Okay. Kind of split on the decision there. Really, really hard decision to make, too. I'm completely not surprised that we're kind of split on that idea. Pro says, I'm surrounding you. You cannot run away. I will get influence here, and all will be well. So, I guess we just take our base. Nice strong block. I'm going to actually point this out for a couple of seconds here. A lot of players, and by players I mean amateurs, hate making this shape. Never in a million years do they ever make this shape. Why? Because of the poke. See? Even Merrick right there says I hate this shape, but it's so strong. A lot of players would instead, honestly, I see them, rather than make this shape, I see them make a weirder decision to even give more Aji. Like, they'll attach to this stone instead. Anything to not make that shape. Which, of course, creates more Aji. So that's a problem. Because now, instead of this, you're actually giving them the ability to kind of run away. Which isn't good. So that's something that I really find cute in the games. I have my students play this, or not play this, sorry, all the time. But alright, white responds nice and strong. We don't care. Oh, for frack. I was gonna get the whole tree perfect too. It's a short game. It was gonna be impossible to mistake. Okay, we'll do it next game. We'll do it next game. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. We'll do it next game. I don't care. We got it. So yeah, we don't have to worry about this so much. A couple of things here. One, if we play this and we get cut, we know that he's about to die. Right? Because this just doesn't hold. So nothing really to be afraid of here. I think we could even block this way and still not care, because this way leads into, well, no, this way we do have to care. All right, yeah, that way we have to care. It's okay. Next game we're fine. We're so doing this next game. Wow, where's the actual tree? There's the actual tree. Here we go. So black slides under, looking to get himself a base. There we go. Got a base for ourselves. And a happy large knight that we can use to try to come out with. Now, we can't just back off and play passively here as white, on account that we slightly have no territory. So, no surprise to anyone that he plays really, really aggressively. He's playing to try to hurt black as much as possible. Cannot let him in. Or cannot let him out, rather. We're going to try and destroy things. So black counterattacks. He doesn't simply say, okay, how can I live here, and let's get on with just living. He's going to decide to actually counterattack. Something else that I really love seeing in pro games, that, again, I see amateurs all the time not even consider. When they're in trouble, it's always about how do I live, not how do I put the pressure back on my opponent, which you always see in pro games, and it's almost always lacking in amateur games. So I like this a lot. This, we're not looking to live, we're looking to escape. And we're looking to attack and do pressuring things and things of that sort. So white Atari could sacrifice the stone, but then that's really, really enormous, and we're probably resigning immediately afterwards. So we're saving our stone. And now we have a problem. White defends his cutting point. Wow, I screwed that up again. Never mind. Alright, I would have messed up here too. My bad. My bad, my bad, my bad. There we go. Now that makes more sense. There we are. White defends cutting point. Well, right now it's defending, because, you know, you can't cut when you've got your stones in Atari, so that's a defense-ish. Unfortunately, white stones are now completely surrounded. So not only is this a game of can you kill me, but I think I can kill you. So white has to live. So here he is, trying to live. Now it's black's turn to play aggressive and demand to see where those eyes are coming from. We Atari for Aji. Try to get those forcing moves on in. Because if we take here, then we're alive. Which is why black doesn't take, and he pokes out the eyes. Has to connect, gets to connect up. We're at 4 liberties now, so this is not going very well. But we're still out, maybe. Except black's not really letting us out. But now we can get our eyes again. Except black's going to deny that too. And this is really, really aggressive. This is so Lee Sedol. If this breaks out and lives and does other things, then a lot of the territory is gone, and suddenly we have mad potential in the middle with a weak group that we can push around. So this has to go really, really well for black. So he defends himself. Whoops, I screwed up there too. Alright, let's just see how many times we can just mess up the tree. So he hunted. Instead, lol. Yeah, we'll play T1 eventually, no worries. White plays the Atari in an effort to live. Black keeps him completely surrounded. So now it's a question of what happens here. Why not O13? O13 when? Instead of P12. Alright, what was P12? P12 was that, okay. Instead of this, why not there? Why not what? Why not O13 instead of P12? Okay. Am I missing something? P12 was there, right? Yeah. So instead of that, play... Ah, here. Gotcha! I see what you're talking about now. Your idea here is very straightforward. You're looking at this, right? So, essentially what you're saying is, I can kill you. Not really certain if we can actually kill these stones right now. If he makes a mistake and just surrounds, then happy days, we're dead. But we have a lot of Aji here still. One thing that we can do, for example, is actually run out until we see this happy Atari, in which case we're out, right? And we've kind of made matters worse. So yeah, can't quite play that way. Be such a really huge victory for white if we could. That'd be great. Alright, that was my mistake. There we go. So here we are, white's trying to live. So, okay, that's Blackstone. Wow, I'm really great at this today. So here we are, trying to live. Right. We poke out that eye as a result, because we can't let him get them both at the same time. Gets to Atari. Threatens to take. Forces a connection. And then we just get to defend ourselves. Thus killing white, because we are not able to capture black before white is in fact going to be captured. Why not O19 before black? Alright. Then it's a question of when. So here... There. Okay, so you're saying this now. We could play it, but it's still not an eye. So unless your follow-up move is to play here, then it's not going to be really useful, and if your follow-up move is to play there, then you still have this slight issue with liberties. So, yeah. Only reason why black played it was to ensure that he's not going to get the second eye. So yeah, a bit of a short game. I can't believe how many times I messed up the tree in this short game. Yeah, because he's clearly dead. So, I did like this for a few reasons. A lot of people do ask me when I show them in variations and like my lessons and whatnot, like what's the benefit of treating this lightly and not playing out Joseki here? Why do we go back and take the corner when we approach this way? And this is a nice example of it. It's really, really difficult to follow up when you play something slow in the beginning of the game, especially against someone who is your strength or stronger, because they're not going to let you come back. Ideally, they are not going to let you come back. Second that question. What question? Do you understand why White chose to play the way he did? I'm guessing that he probably played it because he's had good results with it. Maybe not against Lee Sedol, but he's obviously played games or had variations in mind where he gets really good results, where he does play a fine game that people maybe aren't used to playing. So if I, for one, would want to play that way, I guess. I mean, if you need like some kind of advantage, you might as well take out the variation that you have in mind in a game against Lee Sedol and see if it actually works. I don't know. It's hard to say why you played the way you did. Could be, could be. It's like, I have a great idea. I'm going to get into a very complicated fight with Lee Sedol. Therefore, I will be victorious. Yeah, you could be trying something new. There's a lot of different reasons why he might have played this way. Before I get retirement for Lee Sedol, I'll get into that after the next game, because I do want to hit the next game before we run out of time. So, in the interest of not looking at this tree ever again, I'm going to close this. Yeah, Lee Sedol is retiring and like moving to, I want to say the, what is it, the U.S.? Somewhere in North America? Yeah, U.S. He decided that we'll get into that later. Suffice to say, I'm going to go ahead and put up a new game where maybe, just maybe, I will not destroy the tree completely. Yes. Alright. And we're back with another game. This game, a bit of an influential game. No, not the score estimator. Give me the rules, thank you very much. Move 13. Wow, we have absolutely no belief in my abilities at all. Alright, so let's put up the players. As I mentioned, white in this game. Oh, I'm retarded. You, Control X, Control V, and Gu Lingyi. There we go. So white in this game is Gu Lingyi. A lot of you should probably know that name by now. He's a bit of a, well, I completely misspelled that. There's a G in there. Wait, there's a G. What? Am I blind? I am blind. Sweet. I thought I left out the G. Anyway, you should probably know who Gu Lingyi is. He's a bit of a younger Chinese professional. As such, you can imagine that he's a little bit of aggressive. I have gone over his games before, that is true. He is someone who you should maybe not study every one of his games, but when there's a game of his that comes out, if you're looking for a game to study, review it real quick, see if it's got something interesting in there that you might like. Because a lot of his games are definitely worthy of study. Despite being only professional 5-dan, I'm no doubt that he'll reach 9P in his career. I'd be very surprised if he didn't. And we're opening up in the lower left-hand corner, which I kind of want to know if they really opened up in the lower left-hand corner, or if the game was just somehow recorded differently. Yeah. So, one thing that I was kind of curious about in this game. But that's not why I picked it. I didn't pick it because of the first move, don't worry. Once again, kind of like the last game, we see this choice that white has. White is free to approach the upper left-hand stone and say to himself, you are not playing orthodox, you are not playing a Chinese variation against me. I'm going to approach you, and I'm going to finish the Joseki and then lose the game. So we could do that. That's a good idea. Gu Lingyi declines to do that variation. He takes the corner for himself. Black encloses. Now we are in orthodox territory. And again, we play something very unusual here. A lot of you probably see this move and don't think it's unorthodox. But I kind of do now. Anyone tell me why I view this as a bit of an unorthodox play? I mean, I taught it exclusively as the right thing to do for years. But now I don't. It definitely fell out of fashion. But why did it fall out of fashion? Let's see what we have here in terms of comments. C6 is more common, right? Because black can approach O3 and make a framework. FC on top of his game. Absolutely. And that's what we see here. We can push from the bottom, which, believe it or not, used to be very strange. This used to be a very weird idea in like early to mid 2000s. We used to play from the top every single time. And then we would approach, and then we would jump out, and then we would go here, black would go out, we take the corner, and we play pretty much a basic Joseki. Well, a basic Fuseki at this point. Because all of this was really, really standard. And the fight from, you know, pushing this stone out or not pushing it out and seeing when white or when black goes back and kills it off was kind of a highlight of the game. So instead, we began seeing something different when that became really, really, really super standard. And that is the approach from the bottom, which people were actually teaching their students. I know some amateurs that were teaching their students at the time that this was wrong. That this was just the bad thing to do. You don't want to approach from this direction, you want to approach from the top. Always. And now this is standard when you're split. So it's really, really interesting how Go just kind of changes that way. But yeah, we have a large knight here. White takes a 2-space. And then approaches. White backs off. And black gets a framework. And this is why we don't do this anymore. Because it's usually held that the framework that black's getting here is too good. He's getting an enclosure. He's getting an extension. We can invade this, but he's got the influence all ready to be used. So it's kind of a headache. It's kind of a headache. Probe at 03 is what I consider normal as well. RJM. That's how I usually see the variation. But alright. White clearly has his work cut out for him now. Because we know this is getting into a I have to reduce you kind of game. So I can only assume that Gu Lingyi played this because he's comfortable reducing. Maybe he even prefers reducing to some of the other variations. So we see him start to reduce. Bit unusual. Sometimes we see the 3-3 here instead. But instead we're going to actually see this. Isn't the smoke better than the rest of the board? Usually a reduction here is typically forced. Playing elsewhere and just letting your opponent just keep building up what he has, for example, is typically regarded as a little bit too good for black. I usually see an invasion. But this is an interesting place for an invasion to occur. And black says, okay, I'm going to just get my influence here, no problem with any of this. White wedges in, offering a nice choice to black. You can either Atari me from above and get your influence, in which case I'm connecting my corner, or I'm going to Atari from below. If I Atari from below, I'm probably giving you the influence instead. Or we might go to a code, depends on how the variation takes place. 2 is definitely a lot more complicated than 1, and if you don't like complication in your games, I would advise tic-tac-toe. No, I would advise sticking with 1 instead, because it's going to be a lot easier. I have never seen 1 happen, so says FC. I see 1 quite often. More in amateur games than anything else usually, but I do still see it occasionally. No, tree's still here. I have not messed it up yet. Stop being so eager. So white connects. Black descends for the usual Joseki that we see. White Atari, connect, connect, and then black connects his cut point. White then turns, kind of reducing the aji that's in the upper right-hand corner. So very, very textbook, yes. But still pretty good for black. Black has a nice little corner that he's developing, and he's got nice moves that he can use to extend that development, right? He can shoulder hit, he can attach, he can go off and play something else. A lot of potential here. White, on the other hand, has some territory, and this idea that we're probably going to have to reduce black again at some point in the future. There's some aji at 03. I don't want to mention it now. I think we see it later, do we? No, we don't. Usually when you turn here, there's some, but how much is actually left is a giant question. Stream. Did not mute myself on KGS. Priorities, right? Alright, so black attaches. Looking for that influence. If he hane, we can cross cut and we're happy. If he backs off, we can back off and we're happy. So this area is growing fairly nicely for black. Now white has to decide what he wants to do. He can continue trying to take some territory for himself. He can make a framework of his own. He can reduce. We don't really have to run one play go, because we have these really, really great opportunities here to either still slide in for a larger base, or to attach, or to jump out. So we're not really feeling like we have to go and get out of here immediately, otherwise we're going to die. We still have a lot of options there. Yep, this is a pro game. You might not think it from the look of it, but this is a pro game. You might even recognize something like this as something that you guys have played, and if so, congratulations, you have played like a professional. So what do you want to do here as white? What do you want to do here as white? Free Point says, I want a 3-3 and take away all the things. One Plago Kenji says, I want to 3-3 or Q11. Okay, so we do want to make a framework. Okay. Some O17s, some K17s. How about the attachment? Anyone like this? Does this feel like a great idea to anyone? Sure, why not? Great answer. This is the actual move, yes. This is the actual move. Now this seems like it might be difficult. Because usually when we see this variation, it's this. We have a nice little extension that we want to make. An extension we really can't make on the current board. Well, okay, granted, yes. The point is theoretically still open. We could kind of play it. But we're not going to. Because that's insane. You would have to be a computer if you actually played that. It's like, I know there's a variation here. This is how I settle. I don't care what's there. I'm going to do it anyway. I have not been programmed to care about other moves. So black responds, and white cuts to make things much more difficult. Obviously he's going to cut, because he cannot possibly play normally. If he plays normally, he's a robot, and we already established that's bad. And Gu Lingyi is not a robot. He's a young Chinese player that likes killing things and invading places. Apparently. So black has to decide which move is important. Which one do we strengthen? Do we strengthen D4 or C3? We strengthen the outside stone. Everyone's leaning towards D4. Okay. So black decides to strengthen the inside stone. I don't think he wanted to give his opponent... Oops, that's not making any sense. What was I about to play? You, and then you. Ah, got it. I don't think he wants to give his opponent, like, the Aji of that inside Atari. I think he's kind of worried about what might happen. I don't know. It's hard to say. But he does defend the inside, which allows his opponent... which forces his opponent, sorry, to live on the outside. There's nothing on the inside that's available to him there. So here we go with white, just trying to get himself something to work with. Got himself some shape. The shape obviously is not alive yet, and black is going to attack him most severely. This seems like it's going very well for black. I mean, usually when we make something like this on the board, this is exactly what we want. We want to get all that influence. We want our opponent to make a really weak group, and we want to mercilessly crush him because of it. I mean, things right now could not be going better for black. So white connects underneath. Black cuts. Okay. You're on the first line now, buddy. Enjoy there. Enjoy there. Keeps pushing him low. Has to do something very, very ugly and threaten to connect underneath. Black says that's okay. You can do that. Gonna make myself nice and strong. And you're gonna connect on the second line. Reservations about this. One, he did invade successfully. Congratulations for him. But he did it on the second line in Gote, and Black still has a bunch of influence still. So it's hard to say. On one hand, I think it's really cool that White connects up. On another, now it's a question of where's the influence going next? Black says the influence is going to crush face. So we poke here, and now we know that he can't live locally. And this is an important point to find out. If we know he can't live locally, then we can go be just greedy, right? We can start saying to ourselves, I'm going to develop the entire top, and I can do this because you have no time to reduce me. You're too busy trying not to die. So I kind of like how Black's playing this. Tries to live. Develops a top. White doesn't invade. It's like, alright, that's your territory. I got it. It's your territory. When does White resign? Good question, 3 points. White develops his own framework, which is now kind of large. Black surrounds White completely, forcing him to live. And then he moves to separate. Okay, gonna try to connect, but we can't connect because we don't want to lose our corner, so we get cut off. Be honest. You're looking at this game. Who wins it? Alright, we got a couple of whites, we got a couple of blacks. I like black, but white's gonna win somehow. Yeah, I'd be kind of taking this position too. So what do you think we have to do here? This is a huge turning point. What do we have to do here? Do we reduce immediately? Do we go into full-on reduction mode? We go into Tengen. Should probably censor you for that. Tengen. Ugh. Need to get in the middle, in my opinion. Look at all this potential. White must plan, or White must have a plan worth this much trouble. Build up your own framework. FC says build up your own framework. So, in that style of building up your own framework, that's what White's going to do. He's going to build up his own framework. So here we go, building up the framework. A-dooba dooba dooba. Just building up my framework. I hope I counted right. What? No, we're fine. We're fine. The tree's fine. The tree's fine. The tree's okay. The tree is okay. So we're just gonna give all the things away. So here we are, just building up that framework. Oh, the Hanin doesn't work. Okay, that's fine. I'll just keep building up the framework. Alright, framework built. Excellent. Plan succeeded. I would never have the guts to do that. I would be leaning more towards the, oh my god, I'm gonna hit the Tengen rule. Like, forget my hatred of it. I'm gonna like Tengen for this game and I'm gonna reduce things. But apparently, there's a secret to go. And that secret is when you can count, the game gets kind of easier. No one ever taught me that. Did you know counting's important? Because I certainly didn't. And I can't show it on camera because of how I'm recording this, but Score Estimator says that black is only 16 points ahead. And the Score Estimator is actually kind of accurate in this game. So we're not that far behind as white. I mean, black has a little bit of a lead, but we have Sente here as white, and it's not insurmountable. What about K1? K10. Okay, that makes more sense. K10, I like that you're zooming in on K10. And if you follow that thought, we find this move. Suddenly, there is an issue. That issue is, oh my god, we're about to get our entire middle stones completely killed if we try and kill this off. And remember, it was only 16-point difference, right? So we can't try to kill this stone. It gets to connect for free. Well, I guess I can Atari you and then defend myself. So I still have a lot of it. Those of you who can't see it, I'm seeing comments. Essentially, let's say we deny this. Problem here is that there's too much going on. And that this gets completely captured. So alright, he's holding on to some of it. What do you say, Mr. Guesstimator? Do we still win the game? Guesstimator says that we're even more ahead than we were a minute ago? How does that make sense? Okay, somehow the Guesstimator thinks that we just lost territory on the right-hand side of the board. Thank you, Guesstimator. Thank you for that lovely, lovely evaluation. How does that make sense? Whatever. Alright, so we got a reduction there. This is free, because we can, you know, Atari things all day. So we're going to get response to that as well. And then we're going to seal our opponent out of our board. Black's going to reduce the only way he can, which is the upper right-hand corner, because that's still open. So in that sense, the Guesstimator was correct. But then white's not done. White plays this really interesting attachment here. He's not going to just poke into the corner. He's going to try to rip it away. So now what do? If we back off, white connects and our corner's kind of disappearing. If we separate, we can't separate. If we separate, then this move turns free, this move turns free, and then we've got the Hane, so white's gonna live. So black decides, alright, I'm just gonna hang on to what I got. And just take the punishment there. I mean, I've got a huge center. We're good. We're doing good. Until he decides to pick a fight. Because now most sane people would connect back. Job well done, we have reduced. But people who can read turn. This just got game ending. Someone is making a mistake here, and it's huge. If this lives, it's game over. If it's dead, it's game over. So black connects. Do you see the problem now? Do you see what's being read? Because this is really beautiful. This is just LOL worthy. Nope, we're not going to play B18. Well, you might be in on the idea here, but we're not playing B18. White starts by threatening double Atari. Black Atari, though it's not a ladder, so we're fine. But it's got to connect. It's got to protect that somehow. So he connects here. White Atari, and then black instantly has to resign because he's dead. He can't kill this. It's not possible. If we connect this out, we've got this lovely cut here, right? And there is a slight issue with this cut in that we're too busy not dead to even have any hope of trying to kill white. So yeah, that's not gonna work. This I'm not sure if it works, because we get to Atari here. Oh, yeah, I guess that works. No, because we can do this and then this. So that's the wrong variation, I think. Does that actually work too? That's really, really messy. The other way is a lot better. Suffice it to say, white lives with no problems whatsoever. And the tree didn't die, so ha. So this game kind of completely blew my mind. Yeah, black resigns. Black resigned back, like, at the Atari. He realized he was screwed. So yeah, this was a crazy game. Even more crazy, I thought, than Lee Sedol's kill. Because this was giving... This reminded me of Yi Cheng-ho. This actually reminded me of an aggressive game of Yi Cheng-ho. Because if we look at how this started, we kind of gave our opponent the best result that he could have hoped for with his opening, right? This is pretty much the best thing that you could hope for. We went orthodox, he split us old school, we got the new framework. So we're happy. He invades us, we keep a bunch of influence. He invades us, we keep a bunch of influence, and we have him on the second line. And then we get everything we want. We surround him in Sente. We get to build up, we get to disconnect him, we run him right through the middle of the board and strengthen ourselves, and then we resign. Like, what? How did that happen? That so reminds me of Yi Cheng-ho. It's that old style where they give you exactly what you want, and then you find out what you wanted sucks. So yeah, really, really interesting game here. One of a nice example of why Gu Lingyi is definitely a player to watch, because he finds out some really, really, really good games that are played by him. Yeah, he's already top 10 in China. When black gave up, didn't he have a ladder on the other side? I don't know where you're talking about, Romulus. When black gave up what? Congratulations. When you said the ladder does not work, you mean this? This thing? One back, okay. What, here? Is this ladder you're referring to? Ah, okay, this is what you're referring to. I see. Well, the question here, I think someone actually already answered it. The center will be broken. Yeah, you can see where the ladder goes. And it's going to this really, really nasty Atari that he's just going to use to shatter. And we can't allow anything to come in here now because it's only like 16 points behind. So we can't let that happen. So we're either killing this, or we're either letting this live and we're gonna resign, or we're letting him break into the middle and then we're gonna resign. Yeah, as Peacock's pointing out, a lot of places to break that ladder. Nope, didn't kill the tree. No tree death. But yeah, so very interesting game. I hope you guys really, really like these games. Those of you who might have missed either first part or second part will be able to find these as usual on my YouTube channel. I'm assuming you all know the link by now. But for the one person that doesn't, you can find these videos here. Also, if you so feel inclined, you are more than welcome to donate to keep these lectures coming, and you can do so there. So, oh yeah, retirement, I don't know, kind of agree with it. Alright, this is going to be really, really bad, but to put this in StarCraft terms, there have been a lot of players that I've really, really liked in StarCraft, for example, that have gone on and on and on and on and on about a lot longer than they probably should have. Like, they were strong for a while, then they kind of got average to maybe a little bit less, and they kind of just faded away. So I can completely understand the idea that Lee Sedol wants to get out while he's like still at the top of his game, rather than when he's like on a decline, or maybe even towards the bottom. Like, you really wouldn't want to do that. So I can kind of see why where he's coming from. So yeah, it's really weird. I'm equating way too much to StarCraft lately. But suffice to say, yeah, that's essentially... Yeah, sure, I can completely understand it. Plus, he said that his daughter, I think, is going to school in, like, Canada. So I can see why he might want to move to be closer to her. So it just seems to line up well with him. I mean, he wants to get out while he's still really, really good. I guess he wants to be closer to, essentially, his family, more or less. And, yeah, there's just a lot of reasons for him to retire right now. Well, even in the US, he's still a lot closer to Canada than in Korea. Yeah, there is a huge pay reduction, but you also have to keep in mind that he's made like $1 bajillion from all of the tournaments that he's won, so I don't think he's going to be hurting, as long as he's not completely insane. I don't think he goes onto these like coke-fueled binges every weekend and just like blow all of his money. I don't think we're going to be reading any time that he's found in a hotel room with Charlie Sheen, for example. It's probably not going to happen. Hashtag winning. Yeah, the Jubango, I can't wait. Those will be really, really cool. Those will be a lot of games to go over. Hopefully some of them won't be too complicated and I can use them in a lecture. That'd be good too. Though I'm sure they're all going to be reviewed a lot more than I am. Than I could do, rather. So yeah, we'll look forward to those. What do you think? Who will actually win those? Will that be Gu Lingyi or Lee Sedol? Will I continue World Biduk Tag Team series? I meant to do it last week, but I got sick, so I wasn't able to. I'll continue World Biduk this week. I want to do 3 videos before going back to Tag Team. I like Chris, Lee Sedol. Someone's actually saying Gu Lingyi, okay. We have some Gu Lingyi fans here. Good, good, good. So yeah, we'll have to definitely wait and see how their games turn out. Anyway, thank you all for stopping by. We will be having another lecture week after next, as per usual. I look forward to seeing all of you lovely people then. Until then, take care.